let's not beat around the bush. Suicide.
Yeah, it's a very difficult subject to talk about and something that we really want to start front-footing. We had a member about 3 weeks ago that committed suicide. 28-year-old farm manager, father of 2 daughters. Really tragic, no warning, just decided one day that was going to be it for him. The same weekend we had another member in a different part of the country also attempt suicide, end up in hospital. And so we've thought, it's really important to be really open and clear that as a young farmer member in a young farmer club, you've got a whole lot of people around in the same situation as you, and you've got a slightly different time when you're in the young farmers club to forget about the work or personal challenges and actually open yourself up to some good well-being things.
Yeah, I've been there. I didn't obviously do it, but I was definitely at the bottom of the barrel. And you don't talk about it, and you're in denial, and you are also a passenger.
Yeah, and we as people don't know how to confront people that are looking in a dark kind of way. We don't know how to talk to people. It's such a taboo in our society. Media don't report on it very well.
Or media don't report it.
Yeah, well, that's starting to change. But as a society, we need to be really upfront that if you need some help, let's talk about it. I've got a personal experience too. My sister committed suicide in May this year, and she'd had mental health issues for years, and we still didn't see it coming. And so what do you do as a member of the human race to reach out to other people and make sure they're okay?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, what can we do?
I think part of it is confronting it. I think we've got to acknowledge that our lives aren't always happy. We aren't always in the right space. And some people that suffer from depression or have really bad work or personal stress, or a combination of the two, they're unlikely to ask for help. But we've got to be recognising that, actually, you know what? Tom over there just isn't his usual self. And a lot of the research that's been going on at the moment is actually, why don't you go and ask, how are you feeling? You're not feeling like you're going to commit suicide, are you? Because if you are, let's talk about it. And that's really foreign to us to confront like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to services where somebody's committed suicide and the person taking the service has said it's not okay to do that. And I'm going, you have no idea what you've just said?
No. So you've got to be non-judgmental. People have it tough and people cope with their whatever pressures they have in a different way. Some people become withdrawn, some people become almost the opposite to compensate. So it's looking for that change of behaviour and then just front-footing it.
Yeah, and people who are normally cheerful, say g'day, how you doing, don't.
Yeah. And then what do you do with that bit of information once you know something's not quite right? So in our situation, being a young farmer club environment, it's actually getting a whole lot of people together and go, you know what, let's do something on your farm this weekend. What do you need doing? Should we mend some fences, or should we help with tailing, or whatever it might be at the particular time of year? Or simply, hey, let's just go and have a drink, or let's go and have some lunch somewhere.
I think lunches are great. I seriously do, because you can sit down around a table and have a couple of glasses of wine. But I think you are dead right when you say we don't use that word suicide.
No, it's too confronting for people, and we've got to change that barrier.
Hard one, but I guess people who are members of your organisation, if they miss 3 meetings...
Yeah, where are they? Why aren't they here? But it's I guess, as confronting as suicide is, it's part of a bigger, broader issue. So it's that whole health and well-being of people. Yes, the extreme end is suicide, but there's all those other bits in between. So, people don't do enough exercise. We represent farmers. You think farmers are out in the great outdoors, but actually a lot of farmers, not necessarily young farmers particularly, but farmers in general, aren't physically fit. So
they spend a lot of time on 4-wheel motorbikes and a
tractor,
don't they?
Yeah, they drive a tractor rather than a desk, but it's the same problem that I would have, is I don't get out and do enough exercise either. So how do we think through things that we actually need to allocate time to do those sorts of things, to look after ourselves, to sleep well, to eat well. We're not very good at going to the doctor, particularly men, right? And farming men probably
hopeless.
The worst.
Absolutely hopeless.
So it's a whole change of mentality, but I think the more that we start demonstrating that it's okay to talk about things like suicide, then the more it becomes acceptable from a wider group of people to confront it. And hopefully we'll start to see a reduction rather than an increase in these numbers. We've got a terrible suicide rate in this country that no one knows about. It's nearly as bad as the road toll. We know about the road toll every week.
Yeah, because it's all over the media.
Right. And there's active measures that can be done to prevent the death rate in cars. What we don't know is how many seemingly accidents or those things are suicides rather than just bad traffic or bad driving.
Yeah,
there's various ways of committing suicide, right?
Well, I'm going to talk about my case. Literally, I was, and many people will have known because I've come out and talked about it, but I knew that I didn't want to blow my head off because that was a stigma. But I was very happy for a tree to fall on top of my car or a big truck to come through a red light.
Right.
Same thing. And there must have been occasions when I thought, if I cross the line, the centre line now, and there's a truck coming towards me, buddy, you're gone. And it was very tempting, you know, because it's an accident. But in the back of my mind, of course, I go, my children know that I'm a better driver than that. Yeah. You see, but I was a passenger.
Yeah.
Terry.
That's right.
I was an absolute passenger, and it was when I suddenly went, geez, hang on, you're putting out there to the universe that you want that to happen. You're an idiot. And so I went and got sorted. I'm now taking little wee white pills every morning. And I got my sense of humour back.
Yeah, which is really important. So one of the committees I sit in at a national level is with New Zealand Police, and it's the Police and Rural Stakeholders Committee around making sure that rural communities are safe. And the obvious things are rural crime, but also, you know, often in small communities, the person that's in the thick of anything that goes wrong is the local cop. So, you know, things are not going well on the farm, the bank might be coming in to have that really hard conversation. Then that person goes off, the farmer might do a range of different things to let out that stress. One of them might be to take the gun out to the back paddock and blow his head off, as you say. But it might be getting really aggressive, throwing things around, getting into the car and sounding off. So how do we make sure that people like the local cops, people like people in cafes, you know, people that you interact with every day are actually thinking in the back of their mind, I wonder how that person is today.
Is there a role, do you think, for the accountants and the bank managers? Because they're the ones normally with the bad news, aren't they?
Yeah, and to be absolutely fair, the banks have been brilliant this year. We know it's tough, right? We know there are going to be farms that get foreclosed at some point, and some probably already have, but it's not widespread. So the banks are being really responsible in terms of last resort and being really open and communicative compared to other timeframes in the past where we've had these downturns. And they're really aware of impacts that delivering bad news is. Now, whether they're trained for it, I don't know.
They should be.
But yes, absolutely.
And I think it's more than just delivering the letter, and I think they've really got to be able to have some communication with the Rural Support Trust or Rural Women New Zealand or Young Farmers or whoever it may be.
Yeah. And that's just one scenario. So you've got other scenarios, for, particularly in our constituency with young people, a relationship breakdown. You know, if you're young and you haven't gone through a serious relationship breakup before, it can be pretty devastating, as we know. And how do they deal with it? Being out in the country, not around lots of people, thinking, well, this is how I'm supposed to feel. You know, and if you're the kind of person that thinks negatively anyway, it could be a trigger point. So again, that contact with people is so crucial.
Terry, thank you very much indeed for coming out and using that word suicide.